Welcome to The Fix with me, Karima Brown. To help us unpack the weekend headlines, I'm joined in the studio by Themba Sepetokele, a media specialist and senior political journalist at EWN, Theto Mahlakwane. Themba, thank you, good morning, welcome for joining me. Let me start with you, Themba. The City Press has got a headline talking about Mr. Maimani's house that he lives in. And Mr. John Steenhuisen has just told us that if Mr. Maimani is guilty of anything, he's guilty of over-declaring his interests. Do you buy that from the DA?
Not at all. I think what he's trying to do is to spin. And even the article actually is not saying anything. Musi is not committing at all. So I'm saying Musi should come out clearly because he's the one who often throws stones. And he lives in a glass house, he must do as he normally say people should do. Musi must come and tell it all. If he believes that he's one person who thinks he's ethical and want us to believe him, he should come clean with a story that is very controversial. Unfortunately, this story has to drag, and I don't think that Rapport and City Press should leave the edit story to die down. It should pursue the edit story vigorous, and other media houses, they should do the same.
I see you nodding your head, Theto.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I think more than anything, the way the story is detailed in the City Press suggests that, in fact, he may have declared because he's paying less than market-related rates for that property.
So that at least is what we need to know. We know how much he needs to pay for that rental.
Right, and if we do find that he is paying less than the 20,000 that is market-related, then we need to know under what basis and whether that in any way encroaches on any unethical conduct on his part. Because if, Karima, you are my friend and we decide to have some sort of an informal agreement, but yet you are not transparent about it, that, of course, I think is where the smoke is and why it is important, like Themba says, that he should come out and just state clearly that this gentleman is my friend, we have a friendship dating back as far back as this, and this is the reason that I cannot afford to pay the 20,000 rand, and he has decided to give it to me at less than market rate.
Okay, listen, colleagues, we have very, very little time, so let's quickly go to the Sunday Times. It obviously says, police ignore rape of girl 3 for 4 days. Now, that is not sadly an uncommon story. We've seen the protests over the last few weeks. We've just spoken with a community leader from Manenberg. The Deputy Police Minister was supposed to join me here on the program. Theto, let me start with you. What do you think is the police's greatest failure in dealing with the kind of violence that is engulfing the country, particularly as it affects women and children?
I think there's a massive detachment in not only the police officials' psyches as public servants, but also as members of society, that, no matter how loud this bell is being rung, for some reason they appear to not be present to what the kind of crisis that we have. Now, that story in the front page of the Sunday Times, I would marry to another story in the same paper where they go and look into the resources allocated to police stations across the country, and they actually find that poor black communities are basically getting the most least attention and least resources, whereas you find a Port Alfred town that has 8,800 residents having triple, 5 times the number of police officials you'd have for a massive area in the Eastern Cape. Now, if this government is committed to not only improving the lives of the marginalized and the poor, but those of black people, and in also addressing the kind of scourge we have with violence targeted at women and children, they would literally start at operations, simple things, the kind of resources you allocate. The police minister, when he goes to present his budget vote speech, he must just openly say that these communities have been marginalized for so long and we need to just turn our attention from the likes of Sandton and Douglasdale and deal with them because they don't even have the kind of resources that would find this wrong.
Themba, final comment from you on the question of funding. We were told by the President that the Finance Minister will be approached. But we haven't seen any figure yet. On Friday, women marched to the Johannesburg Stock Exchange demanding a gender-based violence levy that companies pay, because it's not just the state that needs to be held accountable. Corporate South Africa needs to be held accountable as well. Where do you think the money is going to come from?
Firstly, let's admit that we have a very serious crisis in our hands as a country. And in terms of money alone, it's not money that's going to solve all the problems. It's about the behavior of us as men, of us as fathers and husbands, boyfriends, and stuff like that. You read such a story again on that you discussed earlier on Sunday Sun. It says something about deputy minister. So I'm not trying to veer from your question, but I'm saying funding will come. But also we have a social problem that we need to change our psyche as men in this world. We need to start talking. We need to start supporting and respecting women. But in terms of money, then it means that JSE, and I'm glad that the match took place. Just JSE and those companies there should commit at least 5% of the revenue to fighting gender-based violence. It will go a long way in helping the government because Tito Mboweni doesn't have all that money for now. We are in a crisis. We spend all the money in all these commissions. So it's important for now to rally around this call and ensure that we also help our police men and women.
Themba Theto, thank you so very much for your time. The time flies here on The Fix. You've had it now for the week, your Fix. I'll see you again next Sunday. Thank you for watching.